Classically speaking, to thrive is to experience growth, movement, to have some momentum forward.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversations in Community, a place where we have big conversations while building a bigger community. All right, this is the last episode, the final episode of a three-part series I've been calling Starting a Startup. Now, you just heard Pastor Paul Gauche there. He's a friend of mine and actually is one of my pastors at Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in Burnsville, Minnesota. By the way, it's a wonderful church filled with pastors and staff members who are so very talented. So if you're looking for a church that is life-giving, that is called to connect and help others, and that welcomes and affirms all people, no matter who they love, check them out. All right, back to Paul. He works with people on transitioning through the seasons and phases of their lives. And most recently, he's been studying thriving and really how to thrive. How do you thrive in life rather than just, get up and do some stuff and go to bed and start it all over? And here's the thing. When we talk about starting a business, I think sometimes forget about this conversation we're about to have, how to thrive through challenging times, because there will be challenging times. And that's why I wanted to talk to Pastor Paul. But this conversation, as you will discover, really is for all of us. So, what does it mean to thrive? Paul says it doesn't necessarily mean everything is going well for us, but it does mean in those challenging moments, if we're looking for the lessons to move us forward, that's much closer to thriving than anything. So he came to this realization when he wasn't thriving in his life. And in that journey, he discovered 7 principles, or as he calls them, rhythms, that he believes we all have that allow us to be closer to thriving. So get your pens, your pencils out, and let's start the conversation there.
I just named those 7 rhythms: spirited, creative, connected, present, grateful, generous, and missional. I was sliding down the freeway at 55 miles an hour on the driver's side of my door, driver's side door of my truck 4 years ago. I was hit by a drunk driver. And there was this crazy moment during that awful crash where I was sliding on the pavement, thinking to myself, this could end not so well for me, but I'm more than halfway through it, so I think I can survive this. And I did. I got to walk away from it. So it was out of that experience, sort of that catalytic moment of that accident, where I started to ask myself 2 important questions. Who am I and what am I doing here? And what came out of the who am I was these 7 rhythms. Like, who am I essentially? Well, I'm a spirited human being. I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with the word spiritual, because it works for some, it doesn't work for some others. But I'm spirited, that my life comes from someplace, and I know where that comes from. So I'm spirited. I'm also creative. I've been created to be creative. I'm connected. Life is about relationship. I'm called to be a present and grateful and generous person, being in this moment right here with you and those who are watching and listening, to talk about how to live more deeply into gratitude. And that allows me to live open-heartedly and open-handedly, so I can be generous with others, which leads to what's my mission? That's the last. What am I doing here? I have a mission. So do you. We all have a mission. So all of those 7 rhythms: spirited, creative, connected, present, grateful, generous, and missional. If I'm paying attention to each of those during my week, maybe 1 a day, maybe 3 in one day and 4, whatever, that I'm then purposely leaning into a more thriving life.
Yeah. So how does this whole thriving for you, and you touched on this a little bit, in a tangible way every day, what do you do?
Yeah.
That might be helpful for others.
That's a great question. Some tangible things that I do may be tangible things that would spark a different tangible expression in your life. But I think if someone's trying to start a business, I think or how to be invested in someone else's life, to ask questions about how does that enrich a sense of creativity in other people's lives? How is that business going to enrich someone else's life and not just make me money? I mean, I so it's a framing perspective. If I'm starting each day thinking about myself as a person who's connected to others, if I'm aware of that, if I remind myself of that in the morning, then that should make a difference in how I approach people that I interact with. And go on all the way through. Some real practical things, some things that I do is because I'm a pastor in a church, not just that, it's who I am as a person. Yeah. I believe that these ancient writings, the ancient scriptures, didn't just once at one time speak and forever, we got what we got centuries ago. Yeah. I do believe that those words continue to speak. There may be some people listening, watching, for whom that's not it. It might be, my goodness, Mary Oliver's poetry. Yeah, something that we read, that we sort of that fills us. It has a sense of, oh, I'm going to pass that on to someone else. So for me, ancient scriptures. I like to. People are like, what can I read? How do I do this? I need something every day. It's like, you know what? In the ancient Hebrew scriptures, the book of Proverbs, there are 31 chapters. And Solomon was, he was just a human being, yes, but he was regarded as, this remarkably wise person centuries ago. Well, we have his writings, or we have his thoughts in the book of Proverbs, and there's 31 chapters. What if you read one chapter of that book every day, corresponding to the day that it is? So like if today is the 25th of January, read Proverbs 25. There will be something, if you're open, if you're present to that moment, there is something in that will speak to you. Some apps, I'll tell you what, I use, there are 3 different apps that I use. Day One is an app, an award-winning app. It's sort of a journaling app. And I have recorded now, I have over, doesn't matter, a couple thousand entries of gratitude. Things like, very simple. I'm grateful today for my conversation with Jay. That's it. I just might take a screenshot. It allows me to post a picture or whatever. So Day One, I use that every day. I also use a meditation app, Headspace. And that, I'm telling you, it may not work for everybody, but there's a reason why Andy Puddicombe and his partner in Headspace are reaching over 1 million people every day. Wow! So Andy's speaking into my ear every morning for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and I've been doing this for just over a year. When the pandemic started, I was a mess. I was all over the place. I was like not thriving. I was hanging on, trying to hang on to something. And this was something that just gave me a starting point. So Day One, Headspace. And the other one that I just discovered just a month or so ago, another app, Lectio 365.
How do you spell that?
Lectio, Lectio 365. And this comes from a community of faith-filled people, Christ followers, who it's about 10 minutes, and it's shorter than what I've already given you. And it's really, really grounded and really good. It's not It's not cheesy, corny.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of integrity. I'm just thrilled that Nancy Lee and I, at the end of the day, listen to this together most of the time. And so Lectio 365. Those are things that give me a handle or a foothold or a moment in the present to just say, to ask these two questions: who am I? And what am I doing here? When I've talked to people about this, talked about what does it mean to thrive? When do you feel like you're really thriving? And I was talking to some young people who were talking about, imagine this: you're a young person, you're playing soccer, you're playing football, lacrosse, hockey, or maybe you're singing, you're playing music, you're acting, you're hanging out with your friends at a concert, and something happens that makes you think to yourself, I don't want that moment to ever end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that trying to find that moment in our lives where we feel most alive, fully ourselves, the language that we use here a lot, people that I hang out with, is that moment of experiencing life and more life. Sort of this abundant life, and for everybody that's going to be different. But thriving is sort of aiming at that place, that thing that really helps us feel alive. You are going to be blessed to be a blessing, and I think in our culture today, I think frankly in the church, there's lots of expressions in the church where we've got this whole blessing thing. We've made it so selfish and so personal about me, and like God's some vending machine. Bless me, bless me. The purpose of blessing is to, I guess, to pay it forward, or to bless it forward. So I often say, you might notice that I often say, might articulate it in a prayer, and God, would you bless us not merely to be blessed, but bless us in order to be a blessing to someone else. I don't exist for me. Part of the mission is, how do I help your life thrive? How do I speak into your life, sing into your life, play into your life? How do I broaden and expand your life in a way that frees you up to do that for someone else? And I think I think that if we all did that, all had someone else in mind rather than ourselves, I think our world would be a lot different.